This is DC, powered by people and ideas, where the community comes together, voices are heard, and decisions are shaped.
So I want to start by saying, welcome home.
Connecting you to what matters and to each other.
How you doing? You know, what's the tea?
I'm Lorenzo Hall, and this is the DC Beat.
All right, welcome to the DC Beat. I'm Lorenzo Hall, and we have to talk about this DC Police Department crime stat scandal. This is a big deal, and it is not over. On Capitol Hill, the House Oversight Committee is still investigating MPD and its crime data reporting. How widespread is this problem? What about the victims who didn't get justice because the crimes they reported were downgraded? House Oversight Committee Chair James Comer received all documents related to the D.C. Police Department's internal affairs investigation. As we know, 13 high-ranking department officials have been placed on leave, accused of playing a role in altering crime numbers to make the city seem safer. The House Oversight Committee started its investigation last year and released a preliminary report back in December, placing the blame on that woman right there, the former chief, Pamela Smith, who abruptly stepped down. Comer says the committee interviewed the commanders of all 7 patrol districts, some who are now on administrative leave. Comer also says Chief Smith pressured commanders, directed them to manipulate crime data, and claims she created a culture marked by fear, intimidation, threats, and retaliation. Here's what Chief Smith had to say on her last day with MPD.
When I walk into a room, I know who I am. And some people couldn't. Some folks couldn't handle that. They took my passion for being the angry black woman. I read the article, but you didn't say it like that, but that's what you meant. Let's be really clear about one thing. Never will I ever compromise my integrity for a few crime numbers. I said it and it's on the record. Never would I compromise my love for God, the faith that I had in this city. Never would I compromise my integrity. Never would I compromise 28 years in law enforcement for a few folk who couldn't stand to be held accountable. And if I had to do it all over again, I'd do it again. How dare you? How dare you? How dare you attack my integrity, attack my character? You don't know who I belong to. Sit down.
Now, as of right now, there is no evidence Chief Smith directed officers or members of her staff to change crime stats. But, you know, I want to keep talking about this right now with the former D.C. Police Sergeant, Charlotte Jassu, who was one of the first to bring this issue of crime underreporting to light back in 2020, along with other misconduct claims. She also published a book recently about her time serving on the D.C. police force.
Charlotte, so good to have you at the table. I couldn't wait to talk to you about some of the issues we're seeing playing out right now, because I remember your story from years ago when you talked about, you know, the D.C. Police Department manipulating crime data. You spoke up then. Eventually settled with the department and retired, and it seems like we were done. But then suddenly, a couple of months after you retired, it's back in the news nationally. Is the D.C. Police Department actually altering its crime data? And here we are, you know, some time later, and 13 police officers on administrative leave. What do you make of what you're seeing play out right now?
The 13, there's more than 13. And the accountability, we see, well, I've seen that they've said that they've demoted some people and that there are people on administrative leave pending termination. It's just important for the public to know that just because it's said that they are up for termination and that they've been demoted, that doesn't make it, until the end, time will tell, accountability, because they can keep their jobs and the public won't know.
Interesting. Keep their jobs in what sense? What do you mean?
Like, you can appeal in a termination, and many
which we know some officers are.
Yes, are, and many have in the past, and they keep their jobs.
So you appeal, and then meaning the appeal board says
and you
Okay,
can
you're
stay.
clear?
Yes.
So go back to your
Yes.
old role?
Yes.
It's that easy.
It's that easy.
So how long does that process generally play out? So we know they're on administrative leave now.
Right.
If we're trying to keep track of this, is this going to go on for a year? Wait for the dust to settle a bit? What do you think?
Well, it's dependent on how fast they're working internally on
Okay.
the department. But most times they would like to get it done within 90 days, but
Okay.
that doesn't happen. So it can drag on, I've observed, from like a year to almost like a year and a half. Wow. Yeah.
So you mentioned more than 13.
Oh, there's more
I
than
mean,
13.
are we talking double that, just a couple more, hundreds? How widespread is this?
Well, Lorenzo, as you know, it's been going on for years. And these people have been moving up. The same people for years have been moving up.
Meaning getting promoted?
Getting promoted and, different specialized units or whatever the case may be. So, do you know that report and these 13 people? Yes, I can say that I have seen and observed some stuff with these people. However, there are others that were not mentioned, and I don't know why. Maybe they spoke up and they were given some type of leniency or something. And then there's just plenty that are still at the top that have cooked books.
So what do officers get out of that? You know, I mean, I think that's what a lot of people are struggling to understand. The average officer going out, you respond to a crime scene, and like, what's the point of saying a crime is less than what it was?
Well, the commander of the district and the captain, and let me just say the white shirts of those districts that actually, there's a crime reduction award. It's the awards, it's the bonuses, and it's the promotions. So when you show that you can keep the crime down, you are given a bonus, you are given an award, crime reduction award, and more than likely you will be promoted next.
I mean, so that sounds great to those officers, of course. Why did you choose to speak up?
Well, because it's about the community for me, I think people should know what's going on around them. I don't think it's a good idea to lie about crime to people who the community, like your daily routines, you're starting your car, you're taking walks, you're going out to have fun and have a good time, and you think that everything is good because you see the police around present with the lights, strobe lights on. However, it's worse than what you think. So you really need to know so you can just, be on your P's and Q's.
I mean, the lid seems to have been blown off of this shortly after you retired. We know President Trump really put it in the spotlight, and that's when these investigations began. What do you make of that? Because you've talked about this for quite a while. You said this was happening, and it sort of went away. But the moment the president started saying it was happening, suddenly we have a lot of action, a lot of people looking into this issue.
Right. And I think primarily because he's the president. When you get that type of attention, they have to do something. Someone has to pay for or appear to have been, so that they can make it appear as if there's some type of accountability in order for the news to move on. Or when they come back and someone asks, well, what happened with this? They'll be able to say, oh, well, we did this and this.
So we know that you have Andre Wright, who we know is one of the 13 officers. We got a copy of this internal affairs investigation, a summary of the investigation so far. And I noticed that in December of 2025, he texted his wife, Inspector Wright at the time, I guess 2 Instagram links from your account. I don't know if you've seen this summary yet, but do you know why that would have been? Why those 2 would have just been texting about you?
There could be many things. There could be many reasons why they were texting about me. I think because now it's been revealed that Andre Wright was involved with the crime stats book, cooking the books. That may have been a reason why he texted my social media reel specifically, or it could have been the prior dealings that he and I had. And he wanted to share a video with Inspector Natasha Wright.
And dealings, that is not work related, right?
Right.
Okay. Because you wrote about a lot in your book, Sex, Badges, and Bodies, Surviving Inside the Narcissistic Culture of America's Most Dangerous Boys Club. That is quite the title.
Yes, it is.
And I've been able to skim some of the book so far, and you talk about a lot.
Yes,
and I think a lot of people would be surprised based on what you're saying is happening in this department.
Right.
Can you share some of it with us right now? Just why you decided to write this and why you thought this was so important to bring to light from your perspective?
I think I wrote it for those that are coming out, that are on the department now, those that may want to join the police department, and those who are having some issues similar to what I was going through. So it could be something like kind of sort of like a Bible, something to go to.
It sounds like you're saying that sex is needed to get ahead.
Well, not quite,
Okay.
because I studied.
No,
right?
of course, not you, but in terms of
But
the
yes,
culture.
it is.
Yeah,
It is
yeah.
one way that people get ahead. It is one way that people move around to wherever they want to go because of that leverage, so to speak.
Yeah. And you talk about joining the department in 2004, and you know, you were what, the only woman
In my
your
class,
in
my class, yes.
And so, what was that like for you, just navigating the department, being the only person in your class at that time? We're talking just 2004.
I know, right? I was grateful that I had joined the military, so I was in the Army before I joined the police department. So it wasn't that shocking because I've been around men in my careers for most of my lifetime. But at the same time, it was challenging. But, you know, I'm here today. Everything happens for a reason. It made me stronger.
And finally, what would you say to people who are watching right now at home? They're watching all of this play out and wondering, when does it end? How do you fix it? What do you want to see happen at this point?
True, real accountability. And right now, what we see is not what I would call accountability. Because again, those people can get their jobs back. Every last one of them at this point can get their jobs back. I haven't heard anything final. And another thing, I think it would be a good idea to prevent something like this from happening again, if that's what the government wants, you know, to really dig deep and hit their pockets, like this pension.
Interesting.
This pension, because the government has to pay out. I mean, there's plenty of lawsuits, and the money spent, they can recoup their funds. I mean, I think that if you really do that, then they will think twice before they do something corrupt.
Meaning the officers or
the
leadership?
Officers and leadership.
Yeah.
Because it's, I mean, they feel like they're invincible because they've been doing so much over the years, and they know, and then they just sweep it under the rug. And then these people are awarded for doing dirt. So I think with that, if they hit the pensions, if they stop rewarding crime reduction, and they reward something else related to the community, you know, and if they stop giving bonuses for crime reduction, and if there wasn't so much pressure from the top in reference to crime reduction, I think things will change. But you got to do that first.
Okay, Charlotte Josu, thank you for being here.
Thank you for
It's
having
great to
me.
see you.
So I have been trying to reach former Assistant Chief Andre Wright, but we have not been able to connect. The D.C. Police Department says it has no comment on internal investigations. Well, a lot of people are still talking about the young man shot and killed in Tinleytown. This week we heard from the mom of a teen in our community gone too soon.
I'm devastated that he's not going to be here to live to be old, but I'm glad that the time he was here that he still touched so many people.
18-year-old Brady Flowers Jr. was a senior at Jackson Reed, preparing for major milestones. We're talking prom, graduation, and even starting a new job at the Waldorf Astoria. But sadly, he was shot and killed last week. Police are still looking for the person responsible, so if you know anything, contact investigators. And this week, WMATA plans to vote on improving access to the future home of the Washington Commanders. Metro announced it will not build a new station at the proposed RFK site before the stadium opens in 2030. So what now? Well, D.C. leaders are considering a familiar idea, a rapid bus line between Union Station and RFK along that same 8th Street corridor once served by that right there, the streetcar that shut down back in March. All right, so check your mailbox if you haven't done so already. You should have your mail-in ballot for June's primary election. It is important to point out here that completed ballots have to be postmarked by June 16th and arrive by June 26th to be counted. You have until May 26th to register for a party or change your party affiliation. Early in-person voting begins June 8th. That is coming up. And election day, as you know, critical, June 16th. And you know, one name on that ballot, former D.C. council member Vincent Orange, who is now running for mayor.
Thanks for being at the table.
Thanks for having me at the table.
Good to finally have you here.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so as this campaign presses on, we know that you're, yes, running for mayor again. You ran for mayor before.
Yes.
You ran for council again.
Yes.
Most voters didn't choose you, so why make this run again? Why run for mayor again?
Well, I have a record of achievement. When I'm in office, I have 13 years as an elected official. And during that time span, I was able to jumpstart economic development for the city, jumpstart school modernization for the city, jumpstart recreation renovations for the city. I'm the one that got the minimum wage with indexing, started at $15, will be $18.40 on July 1st. I'm the one that established DC Emancipation Day as a holiday that's been running now for 26 years, reopened McKinley Technology High School. So I have a record of delivery. And at this point in time, looking at the field, I say match my 13 years of delivery with Mr. McDuffie's 13 years and Ms. Janice's 5 years. So I think right now it's an orange moment, and I'm needed right now.
It's an orange moment, and you're needed right now. Why do you think you're so needed right now?
Because we need institutional knowledge, we need experienced leadership, and we need measured outcomes. Now, for me, I've been here during the bad times. I was here when we had a control board, when we had junk bond status, when the control board was running the government. But I was also part of the solution. We went from junk bond status to AAA bond status. We went from a mayor with no control to a mayor with backward control. We went from a $518 million deficit to $1.6 billion in the bank. And you know, I'm not Benjamin Banneker, but I did change the comprehensive plan to lay out Union Market. I co-chaired the North Capitol Metro Station development, which was the foundation for the birth of NOMA. So I have a record of achievement, and since we've been in that bad times, got us out of those bad times, we're in a very serious moment right now, where if we're not, you know, on top of things, we could be back with a control board. And I think as an attorney, certified public accountant, former Ward 5 council member, 2 terms, 2 terms as an at-large council member, and former Democratic National Committee man, I bring institutional knowledge, experience, and a record of delivery, and it's time for more delivery for the citizens of the District of Columbia.
So you mentioned these being serious times right now. What are you referencing? Why is this moment so crucial in your eyes?
Well, because the city has really gotten to this point based on a plan called the Economic Resurgence of Washington, D.C., Citizens Plan for Prosperity. 40 action items. The authors was Charlene Drew Jarvis and Richard Monte. The executioners were Mayor Williams, Vincent Orange, and the rest of the council. That's what brings us to where we are today. But now we find a different Washington, D.C. because of COVID, because of the new federal government. We've lost 22,000 jobs, and we can't count on that. That has basically, it's killing our economy. And so we need to pivot. So we need to have vision. So where do we go to? And what I bring to the table is a vision as to how we jumpstart our economy and get it moving forward.
What's an example? I mean, how do you do that during these times? You know, this is a precarious time for a lot of people, and you know, a lot of folks are just holding on to their money right now, not just everyday folks, but also these businesses.
Well, the thing that we have going for us is we are a $22 billion government. 11.7 billion is generated from local DC taxpayers. So we don't have a money problem, we have a management problem. Now, what do I mean by that? I mean that we budget for 4,500 police officers, but we only have 3,100 officers. So what's happening to the other FTE money, that 1,400 FTEs? We are balancing our budgets off of traffic cameras. We're hurting the people. We generated $300 million from those traffic cameras, and they're only supposed to be there to fund Vision Zero. Vision Zero doesn't cost $300 million to fund. What happened to the extra money? Paid family leave. Paid family leave was generating so much money that the council and the mayor had to reduce the rate. But it did generate $400 million one year. And it generates, so where are those dollars? We need to have, what I'm saying, a revenue alignment commission. So I can line those dollars up, know what dollars are coming in, are they being used for their intended purposes, and what's the surplus? And those are the dollars that I can utilize to address the issues that are taking place in the District of Columbia. Public safety is number one, because public safety not only provides safety, in our neighborhoods must be safe. We must have measurable outcomes of reducing violent crime.
So DC says the violent crime numbers are going down. So what do you do differently there?
Well, one thing is that's a problem because we don't know that because of the controversy that's taking place right now. There appears to be some there's an allegation of fixing numbers. But for a resident, we don't care about being statistically safe. We want to be actually safe. I want to know, am I safe? Don't tell me about a statistic. Am I safe? Can I go down to the Navy Yard? Can I walk around in my community? Can my children go out and play? Can I go to the restaurant? Can I go to the Nats game and be safe? So that's what it's about. And it's a great opportunity for a new mayor because we get to select a new police chief. And we have to make sure that that police chief understands in the nation's capital, we need to have policing, but not over-policing.
So you're not a fan of Jeffrey Carroll?
I won't say that I'm not a fan of Jeffrey Campbell. I think Jeffrey Campbell needs to be reviewed. And right now, we see what he's doing, and he will be reviewed on his performance. But for me, it's prevention when possible, enforcement when necessary, but opportunity for all. So we want to provide opportunity to our residents. We want to provide opportunity for our young people. In an Orange administration, a person graduating from high school will have options. One option, you will be able to go to the University of the District of Columbia tuition free. Another option, as the mayor of the District of Columbia, all agencies under my control will have paid apprenticeships for high school graduates. And that means that a person graduating from high school, not ready to go to college, but needs employment, I will provide that pathway. So if you
within city government?
Within city government.
Okay.
So if you came to me and said, hey, I think I want to be an accountant, then I'm going to place you at the Office of Tax and Revenue. Entry-level position, health benefits, retirement benefits, you're working. If you want to get into event planning, I'm going to place you at Events DC. We count on 25 to 30 million people coming to the city on an annual basis. There's always a big conference going on. So what better way for a young person to learn about event planning? If you're into the environment, I'm going to put you over at the Department of the Environment. And so there are great opportunities. And I'm not just saying this, I have a record of doing it. That's what I've been doing for the last 3 years. At Howard University, I had 44 high school seniors, went through the program, 40 of them graduated. We already had a memorandum of understanding that 22 would be hired in full-time apprenticeships. That took place. 82.5% of them received and earned credentials, basic life support and CPR. So it works. I worked with Bill Within. They had an artificial intelligence youth apprenticeship program. So those are the things that we can do And that indirectly, that affects crime. That reduces crime because now I'm taking up young people's time.
Yeah.
But I'm letting you know you have a pathway.
So you talk about these plans and what you've done, and why don't you think that has resonated with voters in the past in terms of when you made these runs, whether it's for city council again or mayor? Like, where do you think the disconnect is? Do you think there's a greater chance now that this is a race without an incumbent?
Well, I think it's a great chance because of the competition and the mix and what's needed at this point in time. You know, everything in life has a time. Everything has a season. But the thing is, whether I'm in government or out of government, I'm still a public servant. You know, I was out of government for the last 3 years. What I was doing, working with youth, getting them in apprenticeship programs. When I wasn't in Ward 5 and when one of the candidates tried to change the comprehensive plan, tried to take the historical projects, sites out of Ward 5 and place it in Ward 1. Vincent Orange created the Brave 35, fighting for DC, and won the battle to maintain the National Cemetery, Soldiers Home, the Washington Hospital Center, Children's Hospital, Macmillan Reservoir, and New York Playground. So I'm there. You always feel Vincent Orange.
So we know that, speaking of feeling Vincent Orange, you know, if you're mayor, you're going to have to work directly with the council. And there's a quote from you in the Washington Post saying that you think the council right now is far left, and not in a good way. How do you work with this council, and can you explain that statement?
Sure. Well, let me say I'm the most accomplished person in this race. I have over 40 pieces of legislation that got passed, and the council has not always been favorable to me. But you go to a council member, you lay out your plan, you find out what they like, and you negotiate. So one thing that I understand about the council is how to count. You need 7 council votes to get your bill passed. Yeah. You need 9 votes if you want to pass the mayor. So as mayor, I already know I need 5 votes because if I can work with 5 people, then I'm veto proof. So it's a numbers game, and it's figuring out what are your needs. You know, what are the needs of Ward 7? Yeah. What are the needs of Ward 8? I can fulfill those needs. So it's not going to be about your ideology. It's going to be us working together to provide a need with a measurable outcome for the citizens of the District of Columbia.
So calling them far left, what do you mean by that?
Well, you know, we have a number of council members that have created this narrative of defund the police. That's a far left ideology, and it cost us. It cost us when we lost officers. We're down to 3,100 officers. Officers felt like they were not, you know, desired in the District of Columbia. They left and went to other jurisdictions. So that's a far left proposal. When you don't want to provide enforcement when necessary, that's a far left proposal. I'm a pragmatic mayor, and I will approach these things from a perspective of your daily life. What do you need in your daily life? You need affordable housing. You need good education for your children. You need contract opportunities. You need recreation. It's time for this city to pivot and become a family entertainment destination. And for a classic example, why is the Sphere going to Prince George's County? It should be right there at New York and Bladensburg, you know, and they are indicating that it will generate $65 million on an annual basis. We need to build economic engines for the city of the District of Columbia because we don't have the economic engine of the federal government we can count on anymore.
Okay, so we have roughly 30 seconds left, and I got a little rapid fire with you, okay?
Sure.
All right, so first up, your favorite job outside of politics?
My favorite job outside of politics is being a granddad. I love my granddaughters to death.
That's a good one. All right, favorite restaurant in D.C.?
Favorite restaurant, the Hitchin Post. They have the best chicken around. The Hitchin Post, yes,
that's
indeed.
Another good one. Favorite D.C. landmark?
Frederick Douglass Home.
Okay.
I mean, it stands for leadership. It stands for, you know, democracy, freedom. He was there in 1862. As a matter of fact, you know, I'm the one that created the D.C. Emancipation Day holiday. And Frederick Douglass was the one in 1862 getting President Abraham Lincoln's ear, you need to free the 3,100 slaves in the District of Columbia. The only time in the history of this country where the federal government paid $1 million to the slave owners to let the enslaved folks go.
All right, so favorite local political leader?
Favorite local political leader? Well, I would have to say it's the late, great John Lewis, and that's why I'm here, for good trouble for the people.
Benson Orange, candidate for DC Mayor. Thanks for being at the table. Good to see you.
Thank you.
And that does it for the DC Beat this week. Thank you for giving me some of your time, the greatest gift. See you next Wednesday.